Hi everyone, I am Mr. Mahmoud Shakra. Welcome to Khudair School's YouTube channel. This video is for Grade 8, Unit 6, Different Environments. We will study Lessons 1 and 2. Let's start with the key vocabulary. Air pollution, drought, environment, rubbish, electric, water pollution, bar chart, cause, caused, changing world, climate change, presentation, recycling, x-axis, canal, flood, mountain, seat, warn, warned, report, electricity, green energy, line graph, melt, melted, serious, temperature, y-axis, area, change, changed, ever before, fire, planet, weather, recently, user. We have some prepositions in the city, on a radio news program, on top of, try to. Words and opposites: clean, dirty, unclean, careful, careless, dangerous, safe, more, less. Some adjectives like attractive, careful, clean, comfortable, dangerous, dry, fast, green, high, hot, important, interesting, large, noisy, old, polluted, quiet, relaxing, serious, tall, warm. Some places like Australia, Europe, Iraq, Jabal Musa, Jordan, Mount Catherine, Mount Kenya, Mount Kilimanjaro, Saudi Arabia. Some language notes, and here we have the word news and the word ice. They are uncountable singular nouns. For example, the good news is that the ice is not melting as fast as before. The word climate and the word weather. Climate is the conditions of the atmosphere for a long period of time. Weather is the conditions of the atmosphere for a short period of time. For example, Egypt's climate is fine. Another example, this week's weather is good for sailing. How to write about the climate change? Climate change means the change in the world's climate and temperature. Climate change is causing different kinds of unusual acts in the world's climate. It is the most discussed topic at the moment all over the world. There are many causes for climate change. Firstly, global warming is the main reason for it. Secondly, environment pollution is the main reason for climate change. Thirdly, cutting down trees is another cause of the problem. Climate change causes rise in temperature, floods, drought, and ice melting, which will seriously affect farming and all living things. We should reduce the bad results of climate change. planting trees can reduce global warming, we should stop using bad chemicals which can reduce environmental pollution. As I said, you have to memorize it. Listen to two reports on a radio news program for students. Hello, this is Jumana reporting for Student Radio in Cairo. Recently, volunteers who were working to clean a canal say they are finding more and more rubbish in the water. They say the canal is dirtier and more polluted than ever before. They are warning people who live in the city to be more careful about where they put their rubbish to try to help the canal become cleaner. This is Karim reporting for Alexandria for Student FM. Today, our city started using new electric buses. The buses will mean there is less air pollution in the city, so they are greener and they are also cheaper to run. I spoke to some bus users who said that the new buses were quieter than the old buses and also the seats were more comfortable. Read the presentation. Does it talk about the problems you discussed in exercise 1? A changing world. Today's presentation is about climate change. This means our planet is changing. Here are two places that are different now. Australia. In this line graph, the x-axis shows the year and the y-axis shows the change in temperature. You can see that the climate in Australia is becoming hotter and drier. More droughts mean worse fires than ever before. Climate change means Australia is a more dangerous place to live. Mount Kilimanjaro. This bar chart shows that warmer and drier weather is melting the ice on top of Africa's highest mountain, Mount Kilimanjaro. You can see that the area of ice is much smaller than 140 years ago. The good news is that the ice is not melting as fast as before. However, the ice is continuing to get smaller. I'll give you 1 minute to finish this exercise. Let's know the answers. It's raining heavily this week. I think there will be a serious flood. There are so many cars in big cities and this causes much air pollution. Electric cars are better than usual cars. They don't pollute the environment. Every activity people do can damage or help the environment we live in. Some countries have serious droughts because there isn't any rain for a long time. Egypt has a warm climate all over the year. This week, the weather is going to be very hot. Another one, I'll give you an extra minute to finish it. Okay, let's know the answers. The temperature is getting higher because the climate is changing. Climate change can cause ice on tops of mountains to melt. Many countries try recycling things to help the environment. Green energy doesn't damage the environment, it's good for it. Don't leave your rubbish here, you should take it to the nearest bin. People think that beaches are relaxing because people go there and forget their worries. And now, time for grammar. And today's grammar is about comparative adjectives. We use comparative adjectives to compare two things, people, or places. We use this rule: short adjective plus er plus than. For example, Mount Everest is higher than Mount Kilimanjaro. The Nile is longer than the Amazon. Add R to the adjective that ends with E. Large, larger than. If the adjective ends with Y preceded by a consonant, change it to IER. Noisy, noisier than. If the adjective ends with a consonant preceded by a vowel, double it, then add ER. Hot, hotter than. With long adjective, we use this rule: more or less plus long adjective plus than. For example, Cairo is more crowded than Aswan. A dog is less dangerous than a lion. We have some common exceptions like good, better. For example, I am better than Ali at maths. Bad, worse. Today's weather is worse than yesterday's. Far, farther. Which pyramid is farther from the center of Cairo? Another kind of adjectives, superlative adjectives. We use superlative adjectives to describe the extreme quality of one thing in a group of things. We use this rule: the plus short adjective plus est. For example, my sister is the tallest girl in our family. The Nile is the longest river in the world. Add st to the adjective that ends with e. Large, the largest. If the adjective ends with y preceded by a consonant, change it to iest. Noisy, the noisiest. If the adjective ends with a consonant preceded by a vowel, double it, then add est. Hot, the hottest. With long adjective, we use this rule: the most or the least plus long adjective. For example, some people think that maths is the most difficult of all. This watch is the least expensive one. We have some common exceptions. Good, the best. Ali is the best student in the class. Bad, the worst. Today's weather is the worst. Far, the farthest. Which planet is the farthest from the sun? Comparison with as plus adjective plus as. We use as plus adjective plus as to talk about things being the same. Droughts are as serious as floods. I think that air pollution is as dangerous as water pollution. We use not as plus adjective plus as to talk about things not being the same. Australia is not as dry as Africa. A cat is not as dangerous as a tiger. Let's have a multiple choice question. I'll give you a minute to finish this exercise. Let's know the answers. Our house is more comfortable than this hotel. Sarah is younger than her sister. Who is cleverer, you or your sister? My car is older than his. I think London is more beautiful than New York. We can run as fast as they can. The film Matrix 2 was not as interesting as Matrix 1. Okay, let's see the answers. I do not earn as much money as you do. We read fewer books than before. He is fatter than he used to be last year. The canal is more polluted than it was before. The volunteers want to make the canal cleaner. The electric buses in Alexandria cause less air pollution, so they are greener than the old buses. Okay, let's see the answers. The box is not as heavy as the chair. Bikes are greener than cars. Mount Kenya is not as high as Mount Kilimanjaro. I think that air pollution is as serious as water pollution. Europe is not as dry as Australia. The pollution in the countryside is not as bad as the pollution in cities. Okay? Recycling is as important as using less electricity for the environment. Saudi Arabia is not as wet as Jordan. A train is not as fast as a plane. The drought this year is not as dangerous as it was last year. There weren't people as many as I expected. People think that the seats on the new buses are more comfortable than the old buses. Another kind of question, read and correct the underlined words. I'll give you 1 minute to finish this exercise. Okay? Yara's room is smaller than Layla's. This tablet is more expensive than that one. Football is more popular than handball. Today, it's not as windy as yesterday. My result in the test is worse than last year's one. Mount Catherine is a higher mountain than Jabal Musa. Is your cousin older than your brother? This new phone is worse than my old one. I think that the river is more polluted than it was last year. Which is farther to walk to, the park or the museum? 2019 was the hottest year in Australia. Thanks for watching. See you next video and goodbye.